I am super happy to announce that this evening's show is sponsored by Rhema Junior Academy, located in Savannah, Georgia. This middle school is a Seventh-day Adventist school that has been providing Christian education for 109 years. Thank you for sponsoring us, Rhema Junior Academy.
Rhema SDA Junior Academy is located in beautiful Savannah, Georgia. Rhema is an official Google and Apple school with small class sizes and tailored learning that focuses on your scholar's academic achievement. Rhema offers rigorous curriculum with the latest classroom technology. Our students love the STEM education, music, foreign language, and the family atmosphere. Rhema is committed to teaching the whole child and preparing them for this world and the world to come. Our goal is to prepare our scholars to be citizens of the world. It is our passion to teach our scholars about God and His Word. Rhema has hand-selected Christian educators dedicated to the mission of training the head, the hands, and the heart of every child. For more information, call 912-233-3101 or visit our website at rhemasdaacademy.com.
Good evening, and welcome to Real Talk with Michelle. This evening's show will cover a topic that will be sensitive to some, and to others it may be a topic some may feel we should not be talking about on this platform. But the show is called Real Talk, and as I remind you on every show, this ministry, this platform, was created to share testimonies and life journeys. And as my guests share their testimonies and their journeys, it continues to be my prayer and my hope that through this ministry, you will be blessed, uplifted, and encouraged. Do you know what is the HIV virus? Or do you know what you think you know? Is what you know or think you know the facts? My guest this evening is Karen Roberts. Karen is HIV positive. You will meet Karen and you will hear her journey and her testimony. And because this is a sensitive topic that I felt needed some medical guidance and navigation, I have invited Dr. Emmanuel Matea to also be a guest on the show. Dr. Matea is a very good friend of mine, and he's also a friend of the show. Now, if you watched the episode where we discussed the coronavirus epidemic, you will remember Dr. Matea. He did an amazing job on schooling us about the coronavirus. And you remember, as I read through his accolades and his qualifications, that he was more than qualified to do so. Now, if you did not watch that episode, I urge you to do so, because that's where you will hear all of Dr. Matea's qualifications, and due to time tonight, I will not be repeating them this evening. Good evening, Karen, and welcome to the show.
Good evening, Michelle.
Thank you for being a guest, and thank you for being willing to share your testimony and your journey with us.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. I really, really appreciate you being here. Dr. Matea, thank you again for being here on the show. I truly appreciate you being here. This is a sensitive topic that we're going to talk about. And as I said in the introduction, it needs some kind of medical guidance and navigation. So I truly appreciate you being here to do that for us.
My pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. And you'll be back.
Thank you.
And you'll be back. Now, Karen, tell us, how long have you been HIV positive? And tell us what it's like living with the HIV virus.
I have been positive since 1998.
It's a long
December
time.
1998. So
That is a long time.
how many years is that?
25 years?
Almost 25.
Yes.
25
25
years.
years.
25 years. So walk us a little bit through the journey of what it's like being someone who is HIV positive. What has your life been like? Tell us a little bit about that journey.
There was some ups and downs. When I first found out, really, it was really hard to accept because the type of work I was doing and always talking to people about being safe, then here I am, come and find myself being HIV positive now. What am I going to tell my family? What am I going to tell my kids? How am I going to deal with this? So it was hard to accept at the time because back then you look at it as it was a death sentence. Right?
Yes.
So as time go on, I got counseling through a magazine. How I found that magazine. Should I go on?
Yes. You're telling us about your journey and you're telling us about living with HIV virus.
Before I go on to that part, what made me get tested?
Well, we were going to get to that part, but I just wanted to know just about your life in general, living as someone with HIV.
Okay, live with it. It's been hard at times. At times it was easy, meaning that my family accepted me when I told them. I've never been discriminated against. They never show it to me. If it happened, I don't know, but they never
Okay.
show it to my face.
Okay.
But it was hard.
Okay.
I wouldn't say it was easy, it was hard.
Okay. I'm sure, because it was a life changer.
Yes,
It was a
very much
life-changing
so.
moment. So let me refer to Dr. Mateo on this. I remember back in the day, we would hear a lot about HIV and AIDS, and everybody thought it was the same thing. So tell us, what is HIV and what is AIDS? Tell us the difference between HIV and AIDS. What is that?
I will tell what it is, but I want to say, just to rephrase what Karen just said, we used to see HIV as a death sentence.
Yes.
It's a very tough result that we receive. HIV, it's an acronym. The acronym means H for human, I for immunodeficiency, V for virus. It's a virus, and this virus causes a deficiency of the immune system. And the immune system is the ability that our body has to fight against enemies, against viruses, against all kind of germs that we may have. So when someone is infected by the virus, it fight and attack the defense of the body. And with the defense being affected, so now the person is without defense, so any germs can now attack the person, and the person may develop the disease. So we talk about AIDS when the disease just get there, like the person has no defense, and now the person start having symptoms. So you may have HIV, at some point it will become the AIDS, but at the beginning it's not called AIDS.
Okay. So HIV is the virus, and then the virus can turn into full-blown AIDS.
Yes, but
Okay.
it's after your defense mechanism has been going down, broken down.
Okay, okay, okay. Thank you for that. So, Karen, tell us about what made you go to get tested. Tell us a little bit about your life at that time and what led you to being tested.
My boyfriend told me to get tested. This is a guy I've known for the past 8 years. We were together, but on and off, he was doing his thing.
Okay.
But he told me to get tested, and I didn't think anything about it at the time. I went and I get tested. Back then, you had to wait 2 weeks to get the results. So I went back to get the results, and the nurse said to me, she was having her lunch, she covered it up, and she said to me, your results is back, and it's positive. You tested positive for HIV. And I'm sitting here, there, she's across from me, and she's talking to me, and I'm not hearing anything she said.
What was it like in that moment?
I left the room. My body just left the room. And I went straight to Tobago because I'm thinking of my children. What am I going to tell them? How am I going to tell them that the mother's going to die from AIDS? Because in the Caribbean at those days, the billboard says, AIDS and you die. The HIV was even there. All they know about was AIDS. So I'm like, what am I going to say to them? But anyway, after she finished talking to me, she said, you have to go and do some blood work. They took me downstairs and took 16 vials.
16.
16
Wow.
from this arm
Wow.
to retest and whatever they were looking for.
Right.
She said, when you finish that, I have to take you to see the nutritionist. Nutritionist telling me what I can eat, what I can't eat, and she's like telling me I can't eat pepper. Caribbean people love their pepper. You can't tell them I don't eat pepper with their food. So I'm like, I hear her. She said, you have to go to a doctor now. That whole time was just spent from one stage to the next. From her to the dietitian to the doctor. And he's going to look at me and ask me, why are you here? That I got angry at him because you asking me this question. They tell you why I'm here and you asking me why am I here. Look at the chart and see why I'm here. So I kind of calmed down and he started to talk to me, explain to me the difference of HIV and AIDS and what I have to do and what I don't have to do. And during that whole process, my mind is just going, thinking. Well, that come and it finished and I had to leave. So I called the individual from the hospital and I said to him, my results is back and it's positive, we have to talk. He was getting ready for work. I said, wait until I get there before you go. When I got there, he paid the taxi because it was from Brooklyn to Queens and you have to take the train. I said, it take too long. I took a taxi and he paid for it when I got there. When I told him what the results was, he said to me 5 words I will never forget. Do not tell anyone.
Okay, so you just found out you had this disease and he was asking you not to tell anyone.
Exactly.
Okay, and why was that?
Why are you asking me not to tell anyone?
Right. Did you ask why not?
Yes, I asked.
Okay.
No answer.
Okay.
He just didn't say anything. Didn't say why he told me to get tested, but he knew why he told me to get tested because he had to know something was wrong. As the time go by, he just pulled himself away from me like I did something wrong.
Okay. So do you know if he, at that time, was HIV positive as well? Was that the reason that he suggested you get tested?
Yes.
Okay.
Had to be.
Okay.
Had to be.
Okay.
Because he had to know something was wrong to tell me out of the blue.
To
He
go and
wasn't
get
talking about
tested.
HIV. He wasn't doing anything. Just to tell me to go and get tested.
Okay.
So I
Okay.
took the test because I was taking care of babies at that time, right? And I didn't want anything to happen to the family. So what I did, I told them I was going to get tested. They agreed for me to go. When I got the results, I called them. I said, listen, the results is back and I'm positive I'm not coming back to your house.
Okay.
I didn't go back.
Okay.
because the mom was pregnant and she had a 2-year-old
Right. And at the
that
time,
was
all
showing
the
tantrum and used to bite. So I didn't want to put them at that risk.
Okay, okay. So was this a monogamous relationship that you were involved in? Was this the only person that you were seeing? Were you the only person he was seeing? Or, I mean, what kind of relationship was this? Was it a monogamous relationship?
At the time, he was my only person, but I wasn't the only person for him.
Were you aware of that?
Yes, I was.
Okay. So knowing that, okay, this is real talk.
Yeah.
So you've been together for 8 years. You were being monogamous and he wasn't, and you were fully aware of this.
Right.
So having that information and having that knowledge, it didn't occur to you to protect yourself? It didn't occur to you to do things differently? I mean, it was an era when this was very
Right.
prevalent.
You will think, right? Back then, stupid. I would say I have to be stupid
Well,
because I'm telling myself
stupid is
he's out there doing whatever. He's protecting himself.
Okay. So you had full trust in this individual,
Yes.
is what you're telling me.
Yes, I
You
did.
fully trusted
did.
him and you didn't expect this.
I did.
Okay. All right. So, life, we all make choices in
Yep.
life. And this just happened to be the result of that
Right.
choice that you made. So, Dr. Mateo, let me switch to you and ask you this. How common are false negatives and how common are false positives when it comes to HIV testing? How common is that?
The test, according to the CDC, is highly specific, and the chance to get a false positive is very minimal. Like, for example, based on statistic, out of 1,000 people being tested, 996 of them will have a true negative. So only 4 out of 1,000 may be coming as a false positive, just to tell you how specific is the test. So, and out of that 4 people, so it may happen like when somebody is infected, the body create what we call antibodies to fight. And when we have those antibodies, so it may come from other infection, viral infection in the body. So when someone has a flu or some other type of viral infection, so the body is fighting.
Right.
So it may happen like the tests came showing like positive because of those because there's a lot of antibodies in the bloodstream. So we will just do the test. That's why they ask her to do more tests to make sure that the test is true positive. So they will confirm with other tests. So that's what they will do. But in terms of having a false positive, it's not as much.
Okay. And 16 vials of blood, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a
And
lot. That's a lot to be tested. Wow. Let me also ask you this, and I know that this is actually a part of your specialty, mental wellness. I know that that's something that you're into. Her mind, and when she got the results, her mind left her body, basically. What do you find is the reaction or the mental state of people who find out that they have this disease? What kind of mental state can be expected?
her reaction is normal. That's normal out of when someone is facing a stressful event or situation. The first reaction is that true? You're not accepting it, and as you are refusing to accept that, that's normal, and it creates a high anxiety as well. So the anxiety the person is having. So you need some level of anxiety to stimulate to help you. But when that level is beyond what you can tolerate, so automatically the person is blocked from any reaction. So, and that's what happened to her from blocking any stimulus coming from outside. So she could not hear, she could not understand, it's because her anxiety level is extremely high. So she developed coping mechanism with that, and that's how she become normal after. But some folks would just not developing a good coping mechanism, and that can right there start something mental, like they can become right there depressed or highly anxious or having a PTSD or other issues come from that situation, which is a trauma for the person. It depends on coping mechanism, so that trauma can develop some mental illness down the road.
And I know in our conversation, Karen, you mentioned that you had suicidal thoughts. This was something that was very traumatic for you. As he mentioned, it can cause different reactions. So tell us a little bit about your state of mind after finding out that you had the HIV virus. Tell us a little bit more about your state of mind. So you went from shock, and then what happened in terms of your mental state?
Well, still thinking about my children because I had 2 boys and a girl, and I know the boys in them are sexually active. So I'm always telling them to protect yourself. Wear your condom.
And here
And here I am come and find myself in this situation. So how am I going to tell them that their mother HIV have HIV?
because you weren't practicing what you were preaching.
That's it. So it was kind of hard for me to accept. So there were times when like, boy, I don't think I could handle this. Telling them, facing them. And I was thinking about suicide. I had a plan.
And what was that plan?
I used to stand up by the window and look outside and seeing these big trucks heading down the road. I'm thinking of going to throw myself in front of it. And telling myself that's the only solution. They will say that, oh, they might have get in an accident before even knowing that, you know. But God, I thank him. I found a magazine through my doctor, and I started to read it, and it said, if you want counseling, call this number. So I called the number. It was all the way in California. And they used to counsel me every Thursday. And the guy said to me, I'm going to give you a reference to New York and Brooklyn. He gave it to me, and I went to the meeting the first time. And you seen all these people sitting down there and who is saying they have it for 25 years. I'm like, huh? Okay. So if they could live with that for 25 years and still wrong, so can I. So I started to build myself up.
There was hope.
There's hope. My doctor introduced me to a girl that was working with him. Her name is Misha. I have permission to call her name. She's from my hometown in Twig. She's from Trinidad. And we became friends. And she counseled me, gave me support through her and her daughter. I got support from them.
Okay.
And watching that girl taking those medications every day, I said, if that child could do it, so can I. So I built myself up from that.
Okay.
And I said, this is not the end for me.
Okay.
I'm going to live through this.
Okay. So let me ask you a question. Since we started the show, one of your main concern was sharing this with your children.
Right.
Share with us what their reaction was like when you told them. Share with us what their support was like when you told them.
It was hard for me to tell them on the phone because I'm living here and they are in Tobago. I had to call my eldest son and say, I have something to tell you because people see you going to different places and they just assume and I heard that the news started spreading in Tobago that I have AIDS. I do not have AIDS. I'm HIV positive. So my kids hearing that and knowing the billboards are there,
Right.
I was thinking of how scared they will be. So I called him on the phone and I said, I have something to tell you. Could you get your younger brother and go somewhere where we could talk private? Because I wasn't able to go home at that time. I told him on the phone, and that was the hardest thing for me to do on the phone. Couple months after, I booked a flight and I head home because I said they need to see me.
Right.
They need to know that their mother will be okay.
Right. Right.
So I went home, we sat down and we talked. And we hugged, we cried, and went on living.
They were supportive.
They were supportive. My kids has been supportive of me. My family has been supportive of me. They have never shown me how I told them. I told my mom, right? And she said to me, when I said to her, I have something to tell you. She was thinking I'm coming to tell her going to get married, that we were going to get married. I said, no, nothing so good. I put her sit down and I said, I am HIV positive. She looked at me and she said, I know it's out there, but I didn't know it was going to come so close to me. But I love you anyway. She hugged me. She said, I'm not going to cry. She cried, of course. She said, are you going to tell your sisters? I said, yes, let's go. So we were upstairs. We went downstairs. There were two of them downstairs. I said to them, I have something to tell you. And I don't know how you're going to take it. And if you want me to come back to the house, if you want me to eat or drink from your plate or your cup, let me know now so I'll know to go and don't come back. They were like, what are you talking about? I said, I'm HIV positive. Both of them said to me, you better go and get a second opinion. I said, I already did. And that's the result. So let me know from now if I'm wanted here, if I can eat and drink from you. They were like, you stupid. And they hugged me, and that was
They continue to love and support you.
continue to love and support me.
Okay, so Dr. Mateo, I think my question to you would be, what are the suggestions that you would have for family members to support someone who is diagnosed with HIV? Because as we mentioned earlier in the show, it was talked about back in the day a lot. And even though we're not hearing much about it now, it's still very prevalent. Right. It's still out there.
Yes, it is.
How would you, any suggestions that you could make for support of someone who has tested HIV positive?
First of all, stereotyping is not good. And that's the big thing with HIV. We tend to believe that touching, hugging can cause the person who is not HIV positive to become positive.
Right.
And because of that, we keep the person to a distance. And this is not good as we stereotype. And I think it's a lack of knowledge. So the way the disease is transmitted is important to know. Because if we know the way it is transmitted, we will use measures not to get it transmitted. Because I don't know if you want me to talk about that.
We were going to ask, that was going to be one of my questions later, but go right ahead. Tell us how HIV is transmitted. Go ahead.
HIV can be transmitted to either semen, either to blood is important, and also vagina fluid, vagina or anal fluid. And if the person has some broken skin as well, that can lead open cut that can. So I would say like through intercourse, person may have that transmitted to another person, like either vaginal or anal, so that can cause that. And also if blood is being exchanged for people who are changing syringe, like doing drugs. So this is easy to transmit the virus from one person to another. And also mother can transmit that through breast milk. As well as if the baby is coming through the vagina as well. There's a chance that this can be transmitted. But it's not true scientifically that we can transmit that to saliva. Like if we are drinking in a cup and we share the cup or we share like a spoon, so we can have that as a transmission. If we hug, like I said, that can cause transmission from one person to another. And also for some folks, they do not give blood because they believe like if they give blood, they will get the virus, and that's not true. You can get it from receiving blood being infected, but it's not done in this country and anywhere in the world like they will transmit a blood being infected because they get that blood tested and making sure that the blood is okay from any type of disease, so they will not transmit or a blood that is infected. So those are the way that person can be protected from the disease. By knowing that, so we will avoid to stereotype, to show certain behavior, and by showing empathy to the person, will help the person at feeling accepted. Remember what Karen just said. The fact that she felt like she will not be accepted, so that brings suicidal thoughts. So if as soon as she feel the love, there's nothing changed. She feel accepted, so everything go away.
Right,
So when we stereotype, when we show some type of behavior toward the person being hostile, so that bring negative thoughts and make the person become depressed. And from being depressed can become suicidal, and you know the rest.
Yeah. But I also remember, when it was talked about back when, we were hearing that HIV was passed through blood transfusions, or there were also a lot of HIV babies that were born. So they were born because the mother was infected with the virus, and it passed through either through, as you said, the breast milk or through coming vaginally.
Yes.
Okay. It's interesting. Knowledge. And if you don't know, then you think you know, and you really don't know.
Well, back then, people wasn't educated about it, so they were stigmatizing people.
Yeah.
Right? And they had all these myths going on.
Yes.
And let me ask you, this was something that just came to my mind. What has happened to that partner that you had years ago that infected you? What was his result in terms of where is he today, or?
As of today, he is no longer here.
He's deceased?
Yes, he is.
Okay. And he passed from the HIV virus, or did he have full-blown AIDS?
To my knowledge, he had AIDS.
He had AIDS. Okay.
Because he wasn't taking care of himself. He wasn't taking the medication. He was in denial. So,
Did he ever admit to you that he transmitted the disease to you?
wow.
Real
One
talk.
day, he was in the hospital, and I asked his sister that I'd like to go and visit him, to ask him if I could come and visit him, and he said yes. So we went one day, and she left the room because she knew I wanted to talk to him. And he said to me, I have something to tell you. I'm like, what? Because I knew where he coming from. I said, what? He said, I'm HIV positive. And I'm like, duh. You know, telling me this after all these years.
And what was the time span between the time you got tested and him now acknowledging that he was HIV
Oh my
positive?
God.
What was the
How many
timeline like? Years later.
Years.
Okay. Okay.
And I said to him, so what medication are you on? He said, I'm taking a tripler, but he's not taking it.
Okay. So he wasn't taking his stuff, taking care of himself, so he ultimately passed.
And that a tripler he was taking is the same medication that the doctors put me on.
Okay.
But before I even get onto medication, I've been like 4 years without medication.
Okay, so between the time you were diagnosed and between the time you got on medication, there was also a time span for treatment.
Yes.
Why was that?
Because the doctor said it's not broken, don't fix it. Meaning that my T cell was like a normal person who doesn't have the virus.
Okay.
So why interfere with it?
Was like a normal person that didn't have the virus, but you
Right.
had the virus.
I have the virus, but
Okay.
my T cells were strong.
Okay, let me stop you right there. Dr. Mateo, let me come to you. I need some clarification. You're like a normal person that doesn't have the disease, but you have the disease. Okay, break that down for me, please.
So it's good because we are in real talk. People need to know.
Yes.
When you get infected, it takes some time for the virus to show in your bloodstream.
Okay.
That's why you can have false positive too. Someone being tested before the virus
Shows
show
up.
or
Okay.
have enough antibody in the system for the test to be positive. So that's one thing. When you get the virus, we are going to the first stage of the disease, like the primary stage. In the primary stage, the person after between 2 to 4 weeks, the test will be positive, and after between a month from being infected, the person may have symptoms. So this will be just a flu-like symptoms the person may have, like having fever, chills, some night sweats, or tiredness, fatigue. But after that, which may last between a week to a month of flu-like symptoms, and after that, we have the latent phase. During that phase, the person doesn't have any symptoms. Remember, I told you we have the HIV positive and we have the AIDS. The AIDS will show up when all the T cells, like she said, her T cells was fine. So when you still have T cells or antibody to fight, so any infection that you have, you will fight it as a normal person.
Okay.
But after you reach a certain level of T cell or CD4 in the body, so now you don't have enough soldier to fight any enemy. So now any infection will come and put you down. So now they call it AIDS. And during that phase, it may go years. Some folks would go 2 years, 4 years, 6 years, 7 years, and they still fighting with their T cells, keep up with that. But after that, they fall down to
Okay.
a certain level, they may not recover. But luckily now they have very good medication that can bring someone from being an AIDS to a normal person. But they want you to have, because the medication, they do have side effects. So they don't want to start you too early so that you have to deal with all these side
Okay,
effects. So they want to
okay.
start you at a time that you really
Right,
need it. But
okay.
they're not going to let you go to the phase that is really dangerous. But as you are at a situation when you really need medication, based on the doctor's knowledge and ability to, they will start the treatment for the person.
Okay. Okay. So the T cells keep you fighting it. The T cells are
Correct.
what allow you to fight it. And once those T cells come down, that's when the medication is needed.
Yes.
In order to
Normally,
build up.
they will test the person if the T cells is below, the CD4 is below 200. That's the number. If they below 200, now they call it AIDS. So based on the CD4 result, they will say you have AIDS or you don't have. So below 200, you have AIDS. Now treatment is required or suggested.
Okay, okay. So you're currently on medication, and it was a 4-year span before you got on medication.
Right.
And so you got on medication, and you're currently on medication now.
Yes, I am.
And have you been on the same medication, or throughout the years has your medication changed?
It's changed.
It's changed.
I was taking a triplet for a couple of years, and now they switch it to Odepsi. Yeah. It's one medication, one pill with 3 combinations.
Okay. And you have to take that every day for the rest of your
Every day
life.
for the rest of my life.
Okay. Okay.
And I must say that I heard people saying that the medication give them nightmares, hallucinations. Never
None.
happened to me.
None. That's good.
Knock on wood.
That's
I'm so
good.
thankful to God for
That's
that.
good. That's good. And have you ever forgotten to take it? What happens if you?
Yes. Like
Okay.
if I miss a night, okay, I take it 10 o'clock every night. If I 12 o'clock pass, don't take it.
Okay.
Because it come like you're
You're
doubling up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And in conjunction with the medication, what else changed about your lifestyle? Did you have to change how you eat, what you eat?
Yes.
What about that?
I have to make sure my food is well cooked. My meat is well cooked. I cannot eat from outside, like buy certain food on the outside because I don't know how long it's been in the air. Like salads and stuff. I cannot have that from on the outside. That will be very bad for my system.
Okay. Okay.
So I prepare my meals, watch what I eat. They said don't eat pepper.
Okay, the struggle is real.
That's,
The struggle is real.
yes. I can't do without it.
Okay.
It's a Caribbean thing.
Okay. All right.
But my eating habits has changed.
Okay. It's funny because just looking at you, even when we met, I had no idea. I had no idea that you had HIV.
HIV is not something,
It's-
sorry to cut you, but HIV is
Yeah.
not something you can look at and say,
I know,
oh, she has
but
it,
you
so
know,
he has
it's-
it. No.
I know, but you know why I'm saying that is, again, I allude to back in the day. Back in the day when this was prevalent and being talked about, I mean, it's still very prevalent. You know, you could look at someone and they lose all this weight and you would say, oh, this person
Person
has
have
AIDS or is HIV positive. Looking at you, you're very healthy. You look very healthy. You know, you look great. You look fine. And was there a change in your outward appearance between the time that you found out and doing all this change to where you are now? That's what I'm alluding to. Was there a change?
No change.
Okay.
I remain the same.
So you had no drastic weight change? You had, okay.
No weight change,
Okay.
nothing. God,
But
I
God.
tell you, this man has done so much good for me. And the feed, the energy I got from my friends, because I had friends back then, the support I got from them, the way they treated me, that gave me courage to go on with my life. I started to work in a clinic, testing people for HIV.
Wow. And this is how long after, between the time you found out you had HIV and you started working now to help people?
About 4 years after,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
And it's to tell somebody that they're HIV positive is not an easy thing. You have to build up yourself to give that person that news. Because coming from where I am
Yes.
at
yes,
the time,
Yes.
I know how I was feeling at the time.
Yes, yeah.
I had to put myself in their space before even telling them the results. And I had to give a lot of young people that results. And it is so hard to see young people getting these results. They cannot go home and tell their family. They cannot tell their friends because people are going to stigmatize them. People are going to shun them. They have medications to take. They cannot show the medications. They don't want their family to see the medication. They have to be hiding. And that is stressful by itself.
It is.
Because living with this virus, you have to have support. And if you don't have that support, it could eat you up.
Yes.
Yeah. This gets even better because in talking to you, you got married. You got married
Yes, I did.
HIV positive.
Yes, I
now, I can't even begin to imagine how to even have that conversation with someone to say I'm HIV positive. I think I would rather just stay by myself, you know, not get involved, not get anybody emotionally involved in that space. Tell me about this journey of getting married. First of all, tell me how you had that conversation and how did you end up being married, being HIV positive?
I'm a very open person. I must say, I'm an honest person. I don't beat around the bush. I don't like hiding stuff. So, how I met this guy, my work. I was involved with this group that we used to go to Trinidad and Tobago and do healthcare work in different villages. And even in Brooklyn, New York, any parties, you will see me there with a bag on my back, with a whole group of us giving out condoms. No, we wasn't giving condoms and telling people to have sex. We were giving it out, telling them to protect themselves because you know they're having sex anyway.
Right, right.
So protect yourself, right? So this is what I was doing. There were schools will call me out to come and speak to the kids because the kids are having sex in the school, on the auditorium, behind the curtain. I'm talking about 12, 11, 13, 14-year-old children, right? Churches call me out to talk to the people in the church because HIV is in the church.
Yes.
It is everywhere.
Yeah.
And if a pastor or elder not speaking about this, they don't want to touch the subject because they think it's taboo.
Yeah.
But you have to speak about these things because it's everywhere. You can't tell who has it.
Yeah.
It could be a grandmother,
Yeah.
it could be a grandfather, an aunt, an uncle, a cousin, anybody sitting next to you, you don't know. And if people don't hear you speaking about this, they're not getting that support. So by me being out there now, distributing these condoms to different places,
You met a
I'm in
man.
a party.
You met a man. Okay.
I'm in a party doing what I do, me and my crew. And this guy walk up to me like, oh, I like you, blah, 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 blah.
So how do you even have the conversation?
We started to talk. So I said to him, I said, you see what I'm doing here, right? This is not a joke for me. There's a
Okay.
reason behind
Okay.
what I'm doing.
Okay. Okay.
And I told him right there, I said, you're looking at somebody who's HIV positive.
Okay.
No, trust me. You look at me then, look at me now, you can tell I'm HIV positive. I was sexy like that.
Okay, Miss Karen.
It's real.
Yes, it's real.
It's real
It's
talk.
real.
It's real
It's real
talk.
talk.
Okay. Okay. All right.
I could remember exactly what I had on. that
Okay,
night.
let's not go that far.
I'm not going.
Okay.
It was decent. It was a G,
Okay.
it was decent.
Okay.
But anyway,
Okay.
I told him. And he was like, so? All
So
right.
it didn't matter.
It didn't matter.
Okay.
So as time go by, we kept on talking. My friend said, like, you people know each other from before? I said, no, we just met. And time went by, I came back up. You call me on the phone.
So how long was the dating process between the both of you to get
About
married?
A year.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about, okay, so now you got married. He's aware of your, your situation. How was the marriage with your status? You had to do things differently, I'm sure.
Of course, always wear your condom
Okay.
when you're having sex.
Okay.
Protect yourself and protect your partner.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's me. Listen,
Okay.
I'm open. I put it on the table. Is either you stay with it or you walk away. No love lost.
And this
And
husband.
he chose to stay.
And this husband was faithful. He was monogamous or faithful, or you went through. Okay, so let's move on.
That's a whole other
That's
story.
a whole nother show, I think. That is.
But anyway,
I think that's a whole nother show.
he is still
Okay.
negative to this day that I know of.
Okay.
If he has it, he didn't
Okay.
get it from me.
Okay.
Because I protected him and
Right.
protected myself.
Well,
Because
that's good.
I could have got reinfected from him. So,
Okay, let's backtrack. You could have gotten reinfected from him.
Right.
What is, okay, so,
if he was infected, his strain and my strain would have been two different strains.
okay, I'm going to refer to our medical expert. Tell us a little bit about that. How would that reinfection work?
Oh, we talked about the CD4 earlier.
Right.
So as she got on medication, so the medication helped her to build some defense now. And now he has a stronger defense and the virus level go down
Oh, it's
completely.
low. Okay.
And some people would be going even undetected. So you can do the test again and say, oh, you don't have it, but that's not true. So because the medication, they don't treat the condition. So they help the person with that condition so that they can function and live their life. So by having the level of the virus being so low, so now that she may be in contact with another person, so like she just bring that up, so I would say the same
Yeah.
thing. So the strain are different from, it varies because it's DNA. So the DNA changed from one person to another, from generation. So it's been since 1983, first time the Luc Montagnier got that virus identified. So it has been there earlier than that. So I would say like for so long, so many years, virus do change strain. So over the years, so by now, so she may be in contact with a completely different strain, and that would be reinfection.
Okay. Okay. I hope you're listening. I hope you're watching. and I hope you're learning. Let me ask you a quick question because we're getting ready to wrap up really soon, and I have a few more questions for you, Dr. Matea. Have you ever been discriminated against because of your status, whether it's at work or church or people who know you? Do you feel like you've ever...
Not that I know of. If it
Okay.
has happened, maybe behind my back, but
Okay,
in front
but
of my
nothing.
face, it was never
Okay.
shown to me.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And I will say that the reason why I choose to put my face out in the public was to help my people from the Caribbean, to give them a face and say, hey, this is a Caribbean face and this is a face that is HIV positive, right? Because people look at you and think that it can't happen to them.
Right. And that's the reason we're doing this. This is the absolute reason we're doing this, because people think they're invincible, and it won't happen.
HIV doesn't ask you your class, your creed, your race, your age, where you come from, or nothing like that, right? And you don't have to be a bad person, mean that you have to be a sex worker to get HIV,
Yeah, yeah.
right? It can happen to anybody.
My other question to you is, having the virus, did you ever struggle with your faith walk because of the virus? Was your future bleak because of the virus? Did you ever think that you were not going to make it through this?
No. Thank God. I will always say there's a God above, and I thank him for whatever he has been doing in my life, and may he continue to do it for me for however long he chooses to do it for me. My spiritual faith, I will say my spiritual mother, her name is Donna Faria. She has been so supportive to me. With her and Michelle back then, there were two people that were steady in my life that was very, very supportive. I didn't have time to sit down and feel sorry for myself or to pity myself. And what I used to tell people, don't tell me you feel sorry for me. That will get me angry. I don't want people to feel sorry for me. I didn't put my face out to people to feel sorry for me, right? I'm not a pity-patty person. I do it because I want to help others.
And I'll use that to ask Dr. Matea this. Give me a little bit of statistics. How prevalent is HIV and or AIDS among African Americans today?
I will add that in the United States, this disease is, the South has the highest prevalence of this disease. So we have it in all the states, all the 48 states, including the island attached to the United States, but the South is known to have more. And Broward and Dade have the highest number out of the state of Florida.
Wow.
And I would say the statistics show that about 1.2 million people have this disease.
That's a
And
lot.
lately, yes, it's a lot.
Yeah.
And lately, these numbers start to ramp up a bit.
Wow.
Because between 2016 and 2019, so it goes down a bit. When we compare the numbers after 2020, so we see there's a little increase in that number. And out of that number, I just say about 40% of them are black, which means blacks are really high.
Wow.
And when we count, there's different ethnicity. Blacks and Hispanic are the highest. So which means we as a black, we should be aware of this condition to protect ourselves, to use condom, and to share the news so that people can protect themselves. Having one partner is very important because when we have multiple partners, we may be faithful to one partner. If one of the person is not faithful, that increases the risk. So if you know your partner is not, or one of them choose to have multiple partners, just let your partner know or protect yourself. Like Karen said, how she protect herself and she protect her partner. So this is good to share that as information, like people know, like we should not play with that. It's not a game.
And even though it's not being talked about, as much anymore. I'm not hearing about
No.
HIV AIDS as much again, and I go back to say as back in the day. But you're just telling me that even though we're not hearing about it, it's still very
It's still
prevalent,
happening, yes.
especially among our African American people or Black people.
Definitely. Do you know that COVID is killing millions of people now, but we don't talk about it? And now when we go places, so nobody care about
Yeah.
wearing a mask
Yeah.
or do
Yeah.
precaution measure to use them.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean like because we don't talk about it, it's not there. Like Karen said, in the church we have people. Anywhere that we have people exchanges. So we can have anything. So it's important to talk about it because not talking about it doesn't mean like it's not there.
Yes.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
And I will reinforce what she said. So anybody can have it. From being born as a baby, you remember we talked about that.
Yes,
So the
yes.
baby can have it from being born and born with it and grow with it. So grew up with that condition. So anywhere, anybody. So it doesn't mean like you are a pastor or you are faithful praying, you will not have it. You can have it, any status. So don't think, people would think like only the gay person
Yeah.
may have that, the LGBT person may have that. That's not true. Anybody can have it.
So again, communication with partners, communication with friends, communication with family, especially as a woman who is dating. It's important to have that conversation with a spouse, a new friend, or a new partner. It's important to ask the right questions. You know, have you been tested? Because single people or even married people may feel like they shouldn't be having those conversations or asking their partner to even get a test or to be, you know, to ask if they have been tested. Those conversations are important.
Definitely. It has to be part of conversation between
Yeah.
partners
Yeah.
because we should know our status.
Yes.
And we should not wait like we go into the AIDS phase to know about it because if we don't know, it doesn't mean like it will not develop as an AIDS. Like we said, you may have had it like for a bit, just have the HIV infection, and it goes to the latent phase. You look great, you good. Like she said, it will not be in your
Yeah,
face or
yeah.
anyhow.
It doesn't have a
It
face,
may be
yeah.
there, and you
Yeah.
look great.
Yeah.
And you are sharing that if the person is
Yeah.
having multiple partners sharing that because they look great. But one day they will find themselves at the corner where they get tested, and now it's really tough.
And let me just ask you one more question. Can you just go through with us and explain what are the symptoms? If there are any symptoms associated with it, what would those be in terms of having the HIV virus?
Okay. I kind of say a few symptoms earlier.
Reiterate? We can always
Like,
reiterate.
Definitely. No. I will.
Yeah.
Like I said, we are in an educating show, so we have to do it. So to reinforce, because like I said, the first infection will pass by like 2 to 4 weeks before the test can come positive, and like 1 month period from being infected, the person may start having flu-like symptoms. When I say flu-like symptoms, it could be just fever, some tiredness, muscle aches. The person may have also some soreness soreness, or having the mouth, having some. I forgot the blisters.
Right, I remember that back in the
But
hearing
that-
about blisters, yeah.
Exactly. The person may have and headaches. So with these symptoms, so that the person may show, and that will go away within a week to a month. And after the month, the person will go to normal life and not having any symptoms.
Okay. Did you have any symptoms at all throughout this process?
When I look back, I had a surgery in 98. And after the surgery, I had a fever, but didn't know what it was. But the doctors, them knew what it was because they tested me. and they knew, but they couldn't tell me because back then you couldn't tell somebody that the HIV positive without their permission. You couldn't tell them that they test them and they positive without their permission. So they couldn't tell me. So when I look back at it, they knew. I had a fever. I had a fever like a week or so, but didn't know what was wrong. So when she came and she said to me, we found an infection in your blood, at the time, I wasn't even thinking about that to ask her if something was wrong because I just had a surgery. So I was telling myself, is it surgery?
It's
That's why-
related.
yeah.
Yeah, because the night sweats are very important.
Oh,
Yes.
So people may have night sweat chills. Also, those are very important symptoms that will be there.
Really?
A lot of
So
time.
drastic loss of weight.
okay.
The loss of weight may start mainly in the AIDS phase. We have it, but when we have the prodroma, like the first stage, we may not see as much of the weight loss, but it's part of the symptoms as well.
Okay, so we're preparing to close, but because we are discussing this topic and, having the HIV virus and it can be transmitted sexually, I'm just going to ask in your opinions, okay, expert opinion and from your experience, what would be your stance on Christians and sexuality in terms of waiting until marriage? Because you were in a relationship with someone and you were not married, and here we have this drastic thing that happened in your life. Would you have done things differently?
Yes, I would have done things differently. What I tell people, you involve with someone, you're dating, right? Know that person's status. Know your status and know the person's status, right? Ask the person to get tested. You all could go and do it together. Let's go get tested together and know if we're HIV positive or not, or if we have a sexual transmitted disease, because there are a lot of diseases out
There
there.
are other ones, yeah.
There are many. So let's go do that. And if the person says, no, I
That's
don't
a
wanna do it.
problem. That's a
I
problem.
don't want to do that.
That's a red flag.
Run. Because that's a big red flag.
It is.
Run. Why you don't want to know your status? Why you don't want to get tested? Why am I getting myself involved with you if you have an STD?
Or we can refrain from it. But Dr. Matea, even prior to marriage, this is a conversation that you would suggest that people who are preparing for marriage have, and how do you suggest that they go about this?
In my opinion, it should be. It should be first. And it's not just for STD. Even doing marriage preparation, you will see the pastor, they ask that person who's going to be married, like they do some other tests, because there are some genetic diseases that would prevent person from being conceived, or when we can have a miserable married life if we do have these issues. And I have seen people even with mental illness, so they do have very serious mental illness. They would say they respect themselves to a point, like they said, they would not conceive because then they know that they will transmit that to the next generation, and they know that the kids will not live like a healthy life because they will be sick anyway. So this conversation is very important to have. At least we know what's going on. We make a decision about it. So it's not just for the HIV, but it's about a different aspect that we can see when we talk about health and for the family. As we know, we are praying. We are Christian, of course, but we have to make sure that we get a good health, because if we don't have a good health, we may not be able to pray.
Yeah.
And that's why our message in the Seventh-day Adventists, this message has the health.
Message.
The health message is a
Yes.
big component in our message. So I would say this is very important to have as a discussion from the beginning and throughout the dating life.
I do agree that our churches are not very open on these kinds of conversations and topics. And as you said, our message is the health message. And these are things that we need to know, because these are things that are happening. We are living in a generation, we're living in a world where we are part of pandemic, epidemics, and we need to be aware. Information needs to be given and learned and dispensed. And so I really, really appreciate this conversation. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to have more of them on different topics, moving forward. So I appreciate, Karen, I appreciate your honesty. I appreciate your willingness to come on the show and be very open about your journey and your testimony. So as we prepare to close, I am going to ask you to give some words of advice, encouragement based on what you are living with or what you have gone through, and especially to the young people. If you can just look into your camera over here and just give some words of advice and encouragement.
I would like to say to my young people, to the members of the church really, this is not the first time I'm doing this. I got baptized 2019 in New York, and I had to speak in the crusade. The pastor asked me. So this is not my first time. People might watch me and say, well, why she had to put her face there? Why she have to do this? I do it because I choose to help other people. I've been to many churches. I've been to schools, as I said. I've been to homes where the elderlies live. And doctors think that elderlies are not having sex. They are. So you have to talk to everybody. Right? For my young people, what I tell them, if you're getting involved with someone, know that person's status. Know your status and know that person's status. And if you ask that person to get tested for you all to go and get tested together and they said no, my advice to you is to run away. Choose your life.
Yes.
Don't let a 5 minutes of pleasure give you a lifetime of pain. It doesn't worth it. Talk openly. Parents, talk with your children. Be open with your children. If they ask you a question, please give them the answer. I had this situation where a father and a son came up to my health care table, and his son is asking me, Dad, what is that? The father is going to look at me and said, tell him, that's your child. He's asking the question he wants to know. You talk to him. Be open with your children. Don't wait until they go outside and get the wrong information that will lead them down to the wrong path. You be open. Have a conversation like, okay, you all have dinner. Say, let's have an open conversation. Talk to your kids and say, what's going on in school? What is happening with you? Have a sex talk with your children. Don't let them get the information from the outside. They'll be getting the wrong information. Please. Members of the church, when you see me with my hands up praising God, don't ask why. I know why. God has been very good to me.
Yes.
He brought me out from many things. This is a whole different conversation that I not even touch here.
That's fine.
But God has brought me through a lot. And I thank him every day for whatever he's doing for me, to continue to do it for me for as long as he chooses to. I will forever praise God because I know where he brought me from.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you for that encouragement. Thank you. And to you, Dr. Mater, what words of wisdom and encouragement can you give to our viewers? Just look into your camera and do that for us.
Health is important for everyone. Being a person that come on earth, that's a gift from God. Having health is a gift from God. So we have to do our best to protect our health. So thank God we have knowledge. We have people who can help. So when someone needs information, it's best that you go forward and ask for the information. Try to get assistance from experts who have knowledge that can help you understand. And one thing I want to add, out of many, that we need to have empathy for anyone who has any disease. Any disease that could be transmitted from one person to another. If we don't know how to, ask for an expert assistance. Because when we give the joy to that person, when we show that person the love, that love means a lot. Karen's history have shown us how being accepted have changed her life, have changed many decisions that she would have made. And she would not know that would be a regrettable decision. But after that, she find out that this would have been the wrong decision. So I would say for every viewer this afternoon that you need to show love to everyone, no matter their status, no matter their health condition. Show them love, embrace them, and show them that, and that will return to you because you will get a smile. You will get somebody in your life.
Wow. Powerful words, powerful testimony, powerful journey. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to both of you. And Karen, I know that this was not easy for you to relive. I want to thank you for just sharing. And I just want to say to you, just continue to lean on God. It's through the journeys that we end up with testimonies, because it's either we have victory through and in him or we don't. So continue to just let him lead you and continue to walk. And as you profoundly said, choose life. Choose life. And I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did. Thank you. Thank you so very much. We've learned so much because of this conversation. And to you, Dr. Mateo, thank you so very much again for dispensing and teaching us about this and giving us all the information. And I thank you for being a friend of the show, and I thank you for being a friend of mine. I appreciate you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so
Michelle.
very much.
My pleasure.
Thank you so very much. And to your viewers, thank you so much for watching. As always, it is my prayer that you were blessed, uplifted, and encouraged. I want to thank you for all the emails supporting this platform. And for those of you who have contacted me for sponsorship, I will be in touch, I promise. If you wish to reach out to us, you can reach us at realtalkwithmichelle1@gmail.com. Again, that's realtalkwithmichelle1@gmail.com. I would also like to thank the sponsor for this evening's show. This show was sponsored by Rhema Junior Academy, located in Savannah, Georgia. This middle school is a Seventh-day Adventist school that has been providing Christian education for over 109 years. Again, thank you for watching. Until next time, let's have some real talk. If you would like to be a sponsor of Real Talk with Michelle, reach out to us at realtalkwithmichelle1@gmail.com. realtalkwithmichelle1@gmail.com. Let's announce your business. Sponsor the show.